Hello and welcome to this class on tactics and evaluation. This class is by Anthony Frill and it is a continuation of the designing and digital marketing strategy. So today we're going to look at tactics and evaluation in the role of designing a digital marketing strategy. So we'll just do a quick recap of where this falls into designing a digital marketing strategy. So in the last couple of classes, we looked at value proposition, communicating the value proposition. What do we know about digital marketing versus traditional marketing? We looked at these three things of crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, etc. And then in the 5 steps of the digital strategy or designing a digital strategy, we discussed what context is, and we'll just go over that quickly when we get to it in a second. So every digital strategy involves 5 key steps, and apologies, let's go back there. We'll go back. Previous, apologies. So we looked at context. And we looked at value exchange, and we also looked at objectives. And today we're going to focus on tactics. And we will also do evaluation and ongoing optimization. However, I might divide this into 2 slides or 2 video recordings. We'll see how it is going before we do that there. So we're definitely going to do tactics, and we may include evaluation and ongoing optimization in that as well. Okay. So we looked at context, and we talked, in designing a digital marketing strategy, obviously the first thing that we do is a client comes to us and they've asked us to design a strategy for them, a digital marketing strategy. We have to understand the context of that client's business and what is going on, and we look at their micro environment and macro environment. And of course, the macro environment includes the pastel factors like political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental. And then I suppose the more microeconomic factors might be, or the micro factors might be, your brand, your customers, and your competitors. And I think the example we used in class the last day was if I had a new restaurant in, for example, SAR, the village of SAR came to me and they're opening a new restaurant and they asked me to do a digital marketing strategy. Well, it would be foolish of me as a digital marketer to not consider the context, and some of the current context, of course, is the coronavirus, and that's a huge, that's going to have huge implications on how well the strategy performs and indeed how the business performs. But it would be crazy for me not to consider that when designing the strategy. And of course, the same if I did not consider what my competitors were doing. It would be crazy for me not to consider these when designing a digital marketing strategy. And that's all we're saying. One of the first steps that we do in designing a digital marketing strategy is we must consider, or should consider, the context. Okay, good. Second part, of course, is understanding our value exchange. And again, we talk about this. We should understand our customer value proposition, and we spent a number of classes and recordings looking at this. And our value proposition, our customer value proposition, is that proposition that we're making to our customers about the value that we're going to offer. And we looked at many examples. And your unique selling point, we talked about this, many examples. And again, if we talked about if we had a new client that was a restaurant, what's their unique selling point? Well, if it was a pizza restaurant, it might be that it has a clay oven, or it has a unique type of dough where it uses different ingredients that gives it this crispy base and extra fluffy, whatever. That's its unique selling point. And it's important before we engage on our digital marketing strategy, where we set our objectives, it's important that we understand what the value propositions and what the unique selling points of the business are. And we can see here that it says what makes you stand out and how can you give your customers value. Okay. We then moved on to objectives, and we set you a little task and asked you to look at what objectives are. And of course, we said that objectives are your aims or your goals. And so the aims or goals, objectives in a digital marketing strategy are going to be the aims or goals of the strategy. And we also said that, one of the biggest common problems, I suppose, that digital marketers can encounter, when they sit down with the client is that the client doesn't have any specific goals in what they want to achieve from their digital marketing campaign. So it's important to, that we have very specific goals or setting goals, and we work that out with our client. What exactly are your goals here? And of course, if you are the client yourself, you need to ask the question, well, what would I like to achieve out of this digital marketing strategy? What is my aim? And with that in mind, we then went on, obviously, to look at SMART objectives and what should what should make up an objective, or how do we put together an objective? And of course, you were asked to get into groups and discuss this, and you did indeed do that. Well done, you. A little bit of fancy work on my slides there, apologies. Objectives should be SMART. We looked at this, so they should be specific. The objective should be clear and detailed, not vague and general. And a vague objective in digital marketing, an example might be, I would like my Instagram page to do very well. Whereas a more specific example would be, I would like to get 100 new likes on this post, or I would like to connect with 100 new people today on Facebook. So you're being quite more specific there. Measurable, of course, and we're going to look a little bit more at measurables today or in the next slides. But measurable, well, your objective, your goal, your aim should be measurable. Attainable, the objective must be something that is possible for the company to achieve based on the resources available to them. And I think the example we used using the pizza restaurant the last day and the last slides in class was, if I was a new pizza restaurant, well, if I wanted to put up a billboard, well, that mightn't really be attainable because it costs quite a lot of money to put up a billboard in a certain area, whereas a new restaurant, what might be more attainable is taking out an ad on Instagram where I target maybe 2,000 people in the ad, because I have the resources to do that. It might only cost 20 BD or less, depends, but you have the resources to do that, whereas you might not have the resources to take out an ad on a TV channel where it costs you 5 or 10,000. So your goals should always be attainable. Your objective should be relevant, and what we mean by that, of course, is just that your goal is relevant to what is happening in the realities of the market today. And I suppose we used the coronavirus again, which is a good virus to be using, or a good example, sorry, to be using for relevancy. Again, using the I suppose the new restaurant as an example, I wouldn't, if one of our goals or our objectives was to get maybe 500 people into the restaurant tomorrow evening, well, that's not a relevant goal to the realities of the market at the minute, because restaurants are, people are being asked to stay inside with this coronavirus, and really, I think 500 people would not be realistic, whereas maybe you could concentrate on your takeaway business, or even getting more interaction online. That would be a more relevant goal and achievable, because you're considering all the things that are relevant in the market. And then the time bound. There must be a time frame in which the objective can be achieved, and that is just an important thing as well, that we obviously set our goals within a specific time, and it makes it measurable and you know, easier to measure because it's within a certain time frame, and being within a certain frame means that you can sort of keep the goal more specific. So that was objectives. That's really an overview of the last class, and today's class we're going to focus on tactics. And what tactics are the fifth step of designing a digital marketing strategy? Well, I guess we've looked at the context, which was step one. Step two was we look at our value proposition or value exchange. Step three was the objective and setting clear objectives. And then step four, well, what we can do there, if you like, you can pause this and you can go off and investigate what tactics refer to in marketing. So if you want to pause the video, you can do that there and carry out this little activity. When you play again, I will be talking about what tactics are. So tactics are not the same as objectives. Objectives, we set out our goals, really. We're setting out our aims, we're setting out our targets. This is what we hope to achieve. And we're being quite strategic about it, and we've been strategic by considering the context and our value proposition, and we've been specific and measurable and achievable and relevant and time-bound. But tactics are not the same as this. Tactics help you to meet your objectives. They are the specific tools or the exact methods you will use to meet your objectives. So you've outlined your objectives, now you're thinking, what are the tools or the methods that I'm going to use to achieve these objectives? And I guess tactics in general, never mind relevant to the digital marketing world, tactics in general, I mean, we can think of soccer matches or football matches where one team plays a certain tactic against a certain another team, or you can think of a chess match where one tactic might be employed. Tactics in general can be defensive, they can be aggressive, again depending on the situation, and I'm sure you have plenty of examples of tactics yourself. But in a business context or in the digital marketing strategy context, they are the specific tools or the exact methods that you are going to use to meet your objectives. So my restaurant client has come to me and they have asked me to do a digital marketing strategy, and perhaps that digital marketing strategy was to get more interaction on their Facebook page. And I know that's quite vague, so we can make that specific however we want. We can make it time bound, and we can say that we would like 500 new likes or 500 new connections. But the tools that I use and the methods that I then employ are the tactics to achieve that goal. So we can say that you know, we have examples there of a Facebook page and email campaigns designed to keep customers or get new customers. We can use search engine advertising, and we'll look at some examples of tactics now. So just one second. So what we'll do, and I'd like you to do this as well before we have our Q&A session at the next class, would like you to have a look on Moodle. And on Moodle we have this digital marketing sample tactics, and this is just a link here, but it's a good web page and worth reading, just to give you some ideas of some marketing and digital marketing tactics. And I won't spend too long on this. I'd like you to read it and watch the videos, quite good as well. But we have here a large amount of various different digital marketing and marketing tactics that you can engage in that will help you achieve your objectives. And they go through everything from traditional marketing methods to digital marketing, and mainly probably focused more on digital marketing, but obviously you have paid ads, buying placement, pay per click. which we will be doing in future. We'll be looking at Google AdWords, we'll be looking at Instagram ads, and we'll be doing classes on that. But good to familiarize yourself just here looking at these. So it gives you a list of lots of different tactics, and of course bloggers at the minute is quite a good tactic for creating awareness of brands or positively influencing your product. Testimonials, case studies. So there's quite a few there. So I'd like you to go through those tactics, and then that will give you an idea of some of, sorry, apologies, will give you a better idea of some of the tactics that are available out there. Okay, so tactics not the same as objectives. We're happy with that. Tactics help you to meet your objectives. They are the specific tools or the exact methods that you will use to meet your objective. And we talked about the restaurant, pizza restaurant, using different types of tactics to maybe achieve its goal. You can use several tactics together to help you achieve your overall objective. So you're not limited to one tactic within a strategy. You can use multiple tactics. You can use to help support the objective. And tactics can change and often should change or adapt. And I guess that's during a strategy. Something's not working, and it's good to be adaptable, and it's good to be able to go, okay, well listen, we've tried this and it's not working, so let's perhaps look at something else. So you might decide that you're trying to drive traffic to your website through Instagram ads, but then you might find after 3 or 4 days that you're getting no traffic to the website, and you might change your tactic to pay-per-click Google AdWords as opposed to Instagram ads. Once one tactic has worked, you might decide on a new tactic. Okay, so objectives though remain the same. So your strategy, your objectives are going to remain the same unless you decide to engage in a new strategy. Your objectives are going to remain the same. So what I would like you to do, and again we will look at this task before we will look at it in our next Q&A session. I would like you to do this task. So you're a new basketball club in Bahrain and you want to promote the club to as many people as possible on the island. I would like you to write down your exact SMART objective. So this is up to you. So you're going to do an objective, a digital marketing strategy. You're going to create an objective and research and investigate what tactics you will use to achieve this objective. So this is just helping prepare you for your next assessment as well. And what we can do is we can have a talk then in class about the objectives, and if those objectives are similar to the objectives that we'd be looking for you to achieve in your assessment, which where you'll be writing out a SMART objective. So this is good practice for your assessment. Write down your SMART objective and then investigate and decide what online tactics you will use to achieve the objectives. So use the website that we talked about and things like that. Okay, so that's just a task. I would like you all to do this task, and we can discuss this task in the next Q&A session. Apologies there. I think that was an email coming in. Let's turn the volume off. Okay, so just on our tactics continued, next slide is key performance indicators. And we're now going to just look at what key performance indicators are and what role they play in a digital marketing strategy, what role we have them sort of in between tactics and evaluating and monitoring. And it's something that we should be aware of and knowledgeable about as digital marketers. So key performance indicators, you can research these questions if you want and pause and research, and then we'll move on to the next slide. In marketing, what is a KPI? What KPIs do you use on a daily basis? And give some examples of KPI in digital marketing. So key performance indicators, I guess, are indicators, obviously, that show how well something is doing. So these are things that indicate how well something is doing. So a key performance indicator is something that shows or indicates how well something is doing. And in our case, it's obviously key performance indicators in digital marketing. So key performance indicators are the specific measures or data that you will look at to see whether or not your tactics are performing well or not. And marketers look at a range of metrics or pieces of factual information in order to ensure a chosen tactic is working, e.g. number of Facebook likes, number of comments, etc. And what we will do is we'll actually look at Moodle again. I have a link up there and I'd like you to read this page, and let me just have a look here. So if we go back to Moodle, you can see here that we have content marketing KPIs. So if you could have a look at this website, and you will find that it takes you here, and these again just some examples explaining what KPIs are from a digital marketing perspective. So I'd like you to just have a read through that there. Again, we'll discuss this in our Q&A session, and it just talks about different things that we measure. But here, KPIs in brand measurement, you can measure unique visitors, new visitors, content performance measures, share of audience, key sites, followers or fans, and commercial measures, cost per click and cost per sale. So just have a read of this article, and again we'll discuss this article in our Q&A session. Okay, so let's get ours. So key performance indicators are the specific measures or data that you will look at to see whether or not your tactics are performing well. And there's a range of tactics. And again, I suppose if I had a restaurant, a pizza restaurant that came to me and was asking me to do a digital marketing strategy, and if we said that digital marketing strategy was to create awareness, and perhaps to create awareness we used the tactic of a Instagram video where we showed a quick video of the chef cooking his pizza. What would be the key performance indicators of that? Well, we can see how many times the video was viewed. That's a key performance indicator. That shows how many times the video has been viewed, or how many times people have seen the video. Other key performance indicators are engagement with the video. So did people like it? Did people leave any comments? What was their feedback? So those would be key performance indicators of that particular tactic, and those key performance indicators then help contribute in measuring the overall goal of the digital marketing strategy. Again, key performance indicators, they could be multiple. They could be in-house, where you have the key performance indicator is how many sales of the pizza were there that day, depending on what your objectives were from the digital marketing strategy. So your key performance indicators can be numerous, in some of the examples that we've given here. Number of Facebook likes, number of Instagram, number of comments. These can be key performance indicators. So there's factual data from a website perspective, and we will look at this when we're going through Google Analytics in the future classes. But you have things like page views, clicks, you have returning visitors, you have bounce rate and things like that there. So these of course are key performance indicators as well. You can have a look at this slide here. Some KPIs for an e-commerce site, so overall conversion rate, cart abandonment rate, the number of people that started but didn't complete their orders, products per order, how many products are you getting per order. So this is obviously if we've set up an e-commerce website, and these are some of the example KPIs. So you can have a look at these yourself, and any questions, just write them down for me. This is just a little infographic, and you can have a look at this yourself, and I'll go through some of these unique visits, obviously unique visits to a website, bounce rate, and we'll go through this again in the future, but the bounce rate is how long people stay in your website. You can now find out where your visitors are looking from. So again, if we set up an e-commerce website and we're targeting a specific country, or we're getting a lot of business from a specific country, this would be a key performance indicator. Social media signals obviously include like buttons and engagements and different emojis that you have now available in social media. So there's just some, and you can click on that and it will take you to the infographic explaining them as well. Okay. This is just a simple example that I sort of came up with. So the SMART objective was to increase, and sorry, some of you were looking for an example for the assessment that we have. Again, this is just a sample that I've given to give you an idea. I've gone with increased sales through the www.ecommerce platform by 10% within the next 6 months. So that is specific, measurable, achievable and relevant, and time bound. The achievable and relevant, well, I suppose that's just my opinion. The tactics that we're going to use to increase the sales, so that we're going to use Facebook, the brand page, and we're going to use search engine advertising. Key performance indicators for these tactics. So for the search advertising, we're going to analyze the numbers of search referrals from these ads and the cost per click on the ads. The brand page, we can analyze the number of positive comments, analyze the number of likes and shares on the campaign specific posts. And some targets per KPI, 1,000 search referrals after 1 month, 15% increase each month. And I suppose this example is over 6 months, so it gives us the opportunity to, adapt. If one of these isn't working or not working well, we can decide to do other things. You could argue that this is a little bit vague or a little bit general, and that is fine. If you want to make that argument, you could indeed be more specific and say we will increase sales through this platform by 10% by concentrating on Facebook ads over the next 6 months. But it's just a sample to give you an idea. So we can discuss this further as well. Okay. So I think that is tactics, and I hope that gives you a good overview of tactics today. I would ask you to do the assignments or the tasks that we talked about there throughout the slides. I will ask you to read those links that I have put up in Moodle for you that help explain KPIs and tactics, and it just helps give you a better understanding as well. And then what we will do in our Q&A session at the next class is we will go over everything that we have discussed today, see if you have any questions or queries on anything, and we will probably look at this relevant to our assessment. Okay, so let's move on to evaluation, and this is the 5th step in designing a digital strategy. Our first step was, again, understanding the context of the business and the environment, the micro and macro environment out there. So a pizza restaurant comes to us and asks us to do a digital marketing strategy, but we want to understand the environment surrounding that business. And after we understand that environment and the value exchange, which is step 2, we then move on to step 3, where we created an objective with the client. And then after we've created the objective, we decide on the appropriate tactics that will help us achieve that objective. And then we're engaging in the objective itself. After that and throughout, we are going to evaluate, which is step 5. So all tactics should be properly evaluated to see if they are working. And attaching KPIs to each tactic helps to ensure that you've chosen tactics that can be properly measured and evaluated. And I mean, look, that is one of the main reasons for key performance indicators, is to be able to evaluate. And so it's important that your KPIs are realistic and achievable. As we said in the SMART objective, that you're going to have them achievable. And if the company does not meet the KPIs which it has set, then there is a problem, or a big problem, with the company and its marketing. Maybe over exaggerating there a little bit, but you certainly would have to address it, and people would be asking questions, well, why have we not achieved these KPIs? I think really KPIs and evaluation are, for me, about measuring success. And the sort of common sense, really, if you're not evaluating, you really don't know how well or how poorly a campaign has gone. And that is important. In any campaign, whether digital marketing or traditional marketing, or any strategy or plan, whether it's a football team or a game of chess or whatever it might be, well, how you if you don't measure it, certain elements, how do you know if it's going to be successful or not? And that's a very important thing. And what it means is, you learn from that. You go, okay, well, we tried this strategy, and this strategy worked very well, or these elements and these components of the strategy worked very well. However, these components and these elements and these tactics did not work well, because we measured them and we can see that they haven't performed well. And then you can ask questions, well, why haven't they performed well? What was the reasons? And what you're getting there is, you're getting, I suppose, more richer learning of the overall strategy and design, and then to engage in it in the future. You're going to be much better prepared for the next campaign, and it's going to save your client perhaps money or time. It's going to save you time and perhaps money, because you've learned from the things that worked well and the things that didn't work well. So KPIs and evaluation are about success. And okay, that's just a little nonsense graphic that you can read or not if you like. The last thing that we're going to talk about, and it's actually not in the 5 steps, but I think we should include it, and I have number 6, ongoing optimization. And that is, as we said, that throughout the strategy there should be ongoing optimization, which is improvement throughout. So optimization is all about building on your successes and evolving into the future. Excuse me. Digital marketing is all about adapting to change. Any digital marketing strategy must be agile and able to cope with changing trends and changing consumer needs, wants, and demands. And that, of course, goes without saying. So this notion of ongoing optimization is this constant striving to be improving, to getting better. And in digital marketing, we know that we could put up a post today, and that post could go awful or it could go great. And if it's an awful post, you go, okay, well, listen, we need to take that down. That's a decision that is made for the betterment of the strategy, and you might revise or change your tactic at that stage. If you're not carrying out ongoing optimization, then you are not, your campaign, if as such, could suffer for it. Okay, so I think there is one other slide that I would like you all to have a look at. Sorry, not slide, link here. we have, I think it's how to measure the success of content marketing. Yes, and it'll take you to this here, which is what KPIs are using to measure the impact of content marketing. And again, it's just a good article on KPIs and this notion of ongoing measurement and optimization. So you can have a read of that article as well, please. That would be great. We will also, these two activities here, they're completely up to yourself if you would like to do them. So there's the smart marketing activity, and then there's the key performance activity, and it's totally up to yourself if you would like to do them. But I think and I recommend that you should, because if you do these two activities, it will prepare you better for assessment one. You can also ask me questions on those activities, and you can email me them, and I can give you a little bit of feedback on how you would do that differently, or maybe how you could improve it. So I think that is enough for today. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to email me. I will, of course, be discussing this in our next class, our next Q&A session. So if you want to wait till then, we can discuss it there. Or in the meantime, if you feel you would like answers quicker, please feel free to email me. So thanks very much. I hope this wasn't too boring or too unenjoyable for you, and I will chat to you all soon. Thank you.